Hi, friends. Welcome to another session. All right, so this is day four, question two, and today we'll just be going deeper into some of the aggregated functions. Now, let's look at this use case right here. A customer service suspect duplicate in the customer master and want to cross check customers with multiple orders to assess profile hygiene and engagement. Your action or your task here is to deliver duplicate findings and engagement count for remediation planning. Now, let's think about our template again, okay? What tables do we have? What filters? What attribute? And what aggregation do we need to perform? Now, there are a couple of things we need to check out here. First of all, the customer master. Now, there has been some data quality issue or some investigation being made that this particular table may contain duplicate. We need to be able to verify that within our codes. That's going to be our first task, to be able to check and see if we have duplicate customers with duplicate a customer with duplicate customer ID, okay, or a customer has been duplicated in this particular table. The other part is that we also want to cross check to see if customers with multiple, we also want to pull actually customers with multiple orders. In other words, we don't care so much about customers that just place one order, but if they have multiple orders, we want to pull that as well. So also that has to do with orders as well as customer. So this table is customer, and for this one we're going to be using the order table, which is says order header. And in terms of the attribute, we're going to be focusing on customer ID and total orders, and then we're also going to check the customer ID on this table as well. And then in terms of the filters, there is really no filter to call out here, but rather than to really make sure that we check for this duplicate and we can say confidently that there are no duplicates. All right. Now that we understand the use case, let's go to our lab and then solution this. Okay. All right. So now let's first of all start with the customer table, okay? And we know that the customer table is right here in the sales schema. So we're gonna just run, I always start select star and from, and then we just pull in the customer itself. All right, we're gonna run that, okay? So once you run that, you can see the data itself, okay? Now the first thing we need to check for is that is there a duplicate in this particular table, okay? So what we're gonna do, and we know that this table is a customer dimension table, meaning that every record should represent one customer. So if we have two records representing one customer, then that is an outlier. We need to call it out. Okay, so let's quickly confirm that. So how do we do that? So we reference customer ID, right? And then we check if it actually have, you know, duplicate. And one thing I want to call out here, guys, is that this is a common use case. Okay, you're gonna see this. Probably some of you might have done this before, trying to check for duplicate. Some of you, as you're getting into the field, just keep in mind that this is a very common use case that will run into, and you need to understand and be confident about what you are really trying to solution here. All right, so we're gonna say group by, all right, and group by one, and having, all right, the count here, all right, greater than one. Okay, so let's check if there is anyone greater than one. All right, so it tells us right away that basically there is at the when you group by this customer ID, there is no customer ID that have more than one. Okay, another way to check for this, if you don't use having in this case, you can say order by, and you say two, and in descending order. So descending order means that the highest should be on top, and then if the highest is one, then that tells you that there is no duplicate. So let's run this. Let's see. So it should work. Let's run that again. Order by, we missed order by. Okay, let's run it again. Beautiful. And you can see as well there is no duplicate. Okay, so that solves our first problem. Okay, so this is done. Okay, and that we're able to confirm, we can tell the business and say, look, we'll check our table and there is no duplicate. Okay, and we're just going to continue and check for the second one, which is going to be order. So we're going to look at the order table as well. We're going to use exactly what we had there. Okay, when you look at the order table, let's okay, we remove the comment and then remove the comment here as well, and then we just switch this over to order. Okay, and then what we just do is that also we switch over to sales order ID. Okay, what we are trying to check is at what level is this order table. It should be at the sales order level because every record should represent one order. Okay, now we just need to confirm that with our code. All right, so let's run this. Beautiful. You can see this is confirming that this table is at the level of the order, which is great. Now then we need to then go to where we then check for customers with multiple orders. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is that we copy this again, and then we will remove the comment. All right, okay, and then we just switch this over to customer. Okay, we expect at the order level to have a customer can have multiple orders, so we expect that there will be multiple, right? What I want to show you first of all is to see that we have multiple customers with multiple orders as well as customer with just a single order. Let's quickly check the ones with multiple orders. We can see right here that there are some customers right here with multiple orders. What if we're interested in just a single order? We can change this to ascending. Let's run that, and you can see we have some customers with single order and the business is not interested in that. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now is then we're gonna have this filter saying that we only want to pull when the number of orders is more than one. Okay, and then we're just gonna change this back to descending, and that should be it. Awesome, this is it. Now however, when you look at this and you compare to what we have here, you will notice that there's a little bit of nuance here. There is a difference because there are many customers with 27 orders. So one way to do this is that we can then, and this is a new trick I want to teach you with order by. What you can then do is that you first of all you'd order by two, which is going to be the count one in descending order, and then you make sure when they are the same that this is being ordered in ascending order using the customer ID. So how do you do that? You can just call this one reference. Actually, let's make it very explicit, so I'll change this to order by. I'll change the order by from one to count one, and then this one to customer ID. So we say customer ID in ascending order. Okay, and make sure you put the comma here for it to work correctly. Okay, so let's run this. Beautiful. So what's going to happen is that whenever this is the same, it's going to go back and then and order this by in ascending order. Okay, the same thing here. You can see we have a couple of customers with 27 orders, and then we want them in this ascending order. Okay, and when you look at this 185 200 223, it's going to be the same thing that we have right here, 185 200 223. All right guys, so you can see that it just worked quite well. Okay, I hope you have really enjoyed this session and you've learned something, and if that is the case, don't forget to like, share, turn on the notification, subscribe, and share with other people as well. And if you have other solution you think of with these particular use cases, put it in the comment section. Let's discuss there. And at this point, I want to say thank you so much for watching so far, and I look forward to see you in the next session.